taste, can't seem to get it out. Blank space where you shove my mouth. Filled yours with love to spit it out. I thought we wanted the same thing. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye, now let me try to sleep. I don't care to say goodnight. It would be a lie, another fleeting dream. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye, you never meant anything. You mean nothing to me. Just stay at home, so lost and alone. Be here, unknown, don't tell a soul. Been so down since you left, can't get out of this hole. Stay safe at home, so lost and alone.
Hiya. Hi everyone, welcome to another Post-Mortem. I feel like that was a massive result. I know we're only 3 games in. It just feels like it was a really, really important day to get 3 points, even without the context of Arsenal dropping said points against the mighty Brighton. But no, yeah, so in today's video, what we're going to do is we are going to do what we always do. It's a back and forth chat, so we're going to be together reviewing the game, what we felt worked well, what we felt didn't work maybe as much, what were the main storylines, just how good are City? Is it just early form stuff, or is actually, as the title of this video, the best is it yet to come? And also Return of the Jack. Return the Mac's a great song, and it's a great pun, because Jack Grealish came back into the City side today, and I thought he was great. So we'll be discussing him, because he's got some probably justified criticism, to be fair, based off his the first half of last season, maybe. I don't think the end of season form was good, to be fair. When he played, he was good. He really helped us in those Villa and Palace games, but we're going to be discussing his work today. And again, you know, Haaland is just a freak, isn't he? And somehow he's actually getting better. He is getting better. People looked at that treble-winning year of Haaland, you know, when he broke Shearer and Andy Cole's record, and they thought, you know, he's peaked in his first year. You know, it can't get any better than this. Well, why can't it? Because he's on track to twat his own record. And why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he get better? Why wouldn't the team around him get better? Not necessarily in terms of quality, just more so in terms of adaptation. But we are going to get involved into that, guys, so don't worry. Get your comments and thoughts in the chat, and I say we will be discussing that at length. I am Norway indeed. Big up to the Norwegians. Yes to Herbal, who says Haaland is unreal. Absolutely. Hello, Cold Life Uzi. How you doing? Leverkusen fan, yes, indeed. Nissen, indeed. Jack was good, yes, indeed. I'd actually go as far to say that he was great, personally. A West Ham team isn't bad at all. Herbal, yeah, and we will be talking about that, as I say, in the context. I know, again, I repeat, it's only 3 games in, but I feel like already it's interesting to talk about the title race. It's such a stupid thing. Like, Arsenal dropping 2 points 3 games in shouldn't be a talking point. But the reality is that when you're up against Pep City, these the stakes that we are dealing with. So we'll be discussing that as well. Trevor says Haaland's back. Absolutely, Mars. Haaland loves City. Big up. Grealish brings stability. Did very well. Yeah. You guys know I like Jack, so I will be doing that. I'll be talking about him a lot. Haaland's general play has definitely improved. Absolutely, ID. Don't be worried at all. It's absolutely fine. Thank you so much for even considering it. Genuinely, much love to LB's my boy. Hello, Mr. Massive Favour. It's a great performance. Not convinced about Doku on the right, but considering the pitch looked like a 5-a-side setup, there was loads of space down the left. Thank you so much, LP. And oh, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Oh, no, you don't get random football, do you? No, but you get your super chat printed out. Look at that. Because it's my boy. We don't normally do this for super chats, but I will because it's LB who is my boy, of course. Thank you so much, mate. That genuinely means the world. There we go. Hey, look at that. What's he saying? If it wants to focus, will it focus? Why won't it focus? Come on. There we go. From it's LB. Incredibly generous, LB. Thank you so much. Up the freaking blues, he says. Oh, and I'm bald. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, LB. Absolutely kind and generous soul that you are. Big up, as always. Hope you enjoyed that printing thing. Second goal was disgusting, says Quinton. Well, oh yeah, big time. I want to talk about Nunes as well. Hey, please, is this stream recorded? Says Akin. I mean, you'll be able to see it afterwards. So yes, Jack was great. The Grealish cult couldn't wait to start twerking. Those shots he wasted don't matter, says Dwight. Don't know what. Sorry, I can't tell if that's a compliment or not. Guardiola 10 stays as Alec. Yeah. So. Today was a very good day for the Nobbins agenda. You know, in terms of like the players who I really like. Why is my bald head not going away? I mean, I appreciate why I am bald, but there we go. Because Grealish played well, and Edison did a really good save at the end. I'm a big Edison defender, so you guys know. Kyle Walker wasn't particularly good when he came on. Who else? Kevin De Bruyne is well and truly in his Pulse goals, like mid-noughties arc now, well and truly. And Haaland's general play and link-up play was absolutely astounding today. It was really, really good. He actually should have got an assist. That is how good he was today. Nick, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. From Nick Fadley. Thank you for that super chat. What is that currency? MYR. Is that Malaysia? Myanmar? Let me know. Nunes shocked me. Shall we start with Nunes? Yeah, guys, if you're in... I was going to say if you're enjoying, but just do it anyway. Leave a like on the video. Let's start with Mateus Nunes, shall we? Just because I feel like... what do I feel like? I feel like that is worthwhile talking about. He came on. Actually, no. Should we talk about the game generally? No, let's do it chronologically, because otherwise my OCD will upset me. Let's start with the start. So that first half is Malaysia. Excellent. That first half is one of, and maybe it's just because my memory's not really there because it's been a while, obviously, since we've had many games in a row, because obviously there was a break from club football, but that first half was one of the best first halves I've seen from City in a while, I feel like. There was like an opening 3 minutes where West Ham were pressing us really high and we weren't really able to deal with it. I think that's just like, you know, they wanted to do that thing, get the crowd on side early on, and it worked, in fairness. You know, they were pressing us, we couldn't really deal with it, but then thereafter, City did what they do, and they just, they assert their dominance, they assert their authority, and that was the end of any modicum of or notion of an idea that City were not going to absolutely, totally be dominant in that first half. It's not an exaggeration to say we probably should have been up 4-0 in that first half. And a lot of that, guys, stemmed from what we've been discussing a lot on the channel recently. If you've been watching my analysis videos, and I know you guys have, because you guys are real ones. It all stems from, once again, this isn't new information, the way that City are setting up to get the most out of Kevin De Bruyne. The left-sided wide player will go into the centre. It will overload that left side, or City's left, or opponent's right. It gives De Bruyne so much more time on the ball to have the play in front of him. And so many opportunities were created down that left side. Ultimately, the first goal wasn't actually scored down that left side, but so many opportunities before then were. My favourite one was, and it was all because of the connection between De Bruyne and Grealish, that is why we were so dominant in that first half. Not much was happening on the right side, and we'll have a chat about the right side in a bit, but let's focus on the massive positive of what that was. This was a big game, I feel like, for Jack Grealish, because, again, rightly so, he's had a lot of, some people take it too far, but there is a genuine criticism, which is fair and valid, that last season he was either not fit, or sometimes when he was fit he wasn't good enough. Again, towards the end of the season he was good enough, but it wasn't consistent throughout the whole season. And there are injuries, of course, but still, we've got to have high standards, of course, because it's still Man City at the end of the day. Not only that, and there's also that general context, but more importantly, the specific role context of this current City system is that as I say, the left winger occupies central zones. So the best profile of wide play you could have in this current setup isn't actually a Doku, really. Even though Doku's good at going centrally, it's actually more of a Grealish, someone who can play as like an 8/10 player, and indeed did do it sometimes for Villa. Basically, a wide player who really likes to drive inside, rather than necessarily hold the width outright and get chalks in the boots or whatever. Someone who likes to drive inside and power through, and that is Grealish to a T. So it was really important that, given the fact that it's almost like that role is designed for him. To be honest, when I saw Doku doing it, my first thought was, "Oh, Grealish would be really good at doing that." So, big game. So, certainly through the lens of Nobbins anyway, this is a big game for him. Because, again, I'm a big Grealish defender, but I'm not a blind defender. I'll only defend him if I feel like he deserves to be defended. I don't blindly defend. Like, if I was that person, Kyle Walker would have been my #1 fan last season, but he wasn't. If a player's underperforming, I'll call it out and say it. He was really good today. One of my favourite chances actually was that header. That I don't know how Haaland skied that. First of all, I thought the Bernardo cross was too high, but actually it's a pinpoint cross, and Haaland just doesn't get his noggin on it properly. I had to go at Bernardo at the time. I was wrong. Should have having to go at Haaland, who obviously got the hat-trick, so it doesn't really matter. But that chance again is created via in the build-up, the link-up and work between Grealish and De Bruyne. It comes to Grealish, and he waits, and he waits, and he waits until the perfect opportunity to release Bernardo on the overlap, and then City should have scored. There were so many instances where that kept happening again and again. Like Grealish was finding De Bruyne and vice versa, and there was some really good work. And Grealish throughout the game should have had 2 assists. Let's be honest, the best one was probably in the second half, where again he's on the left, he delays. I think he ends up nutmegging Wan-Bissaka or Soufal or whoever the right back is at that time. It falls to Bernardo and he just hits it to the keeper. That's a really good chance. The second goal, obviously the first goal scored because it's... Side note, again, what I discussed in that Ipswich analysis video is the key is get the ball to Haaland as quickly as possible. Bernardo, one touch, in, goal. Side note, that was really nice. The second goal is scored because of Jack Grealish. Because Grealish, it's really, really impressive. He drives inside. He beats like at least one, maybe even 2 players to get into the box. Because if you have touches in the box, that tends to lead to happy times for the in-possession team, basically. And Grealish is very good at they're called carries or entries into the penalty box. And Grealish is one of the best at that. So is Doku and probably Savio as well. These are the sort of wide players they are. You want your wide players to carry the ball into the box because that's where the danger zone is, obviously. The West Ham players didn't want to touch him because obviously Grealish is a very highly fouled player, so he can't really touch when he's in those areas. And he just brilliantly to lay it off to, I think it's to, is it to Bernardo who then, or is it Lewis, sorry, who then finds Hall, and it's a ridiculous finish, isn't it? I just went mental when that, how was he scoring that goal? It hit the roof of the net. He shouldn't be allowed to score that sort of goal. But that goal is scored because of Grealish. So I was really happy with that. Really good first half. And yeah, just the whole team had a really good first half. Second half, we lost our way for about 15 minutes from around minute 50 through to 65. Just like West Ham were all over us, to be honest. Like the classic thing of, the crowds were on their side. They were just like, it's almost like they took it in bursts. And that was their proper opportunity to get a goal, because obviously hitting the post, because Doku unfortunately wasn't strong enough in the challenge. That was a little bit unfortunate. But I thought Doku, in fairness, just going back to the point of the wide player situation, Doku did well after that. Like, we needed to slow the game down, and he won 2 fouls back to back. And there was also yellow cards, so the left back and left centre back got booked, and all of a sudden he can run at them more. So whilst Doku didn't necessarily do well there, I think he made up for it afterwards. And again, he killed, that really killed the game. I can't really remember West Ham doing much after that. And then, yeah, second half, they didn't take advantage. And if you don't punish City whilst we're down, then we will no doubt score. And that's exactly what happened. And we'll get onto Nunes later. So yeah, Jack, I thought it was really good. I thought it was great. There was even the shot that he probably, and again, this is like my biggest critique of Jack. Well, no, it's two critiques actually. He isn't direct enough in his actions from a shooting perspective. Like, he needs to be quicker. And then just like in general, the finishing obviously needs to improve. And there's no secret about that. That's obviously just a thing. I'm talking about the one where like the ball falls to him. He takes one touch and it goes. I think it's after Kevin. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. I think it's after Kevin hits the post and it falls out to Grealish. One touch with the left onto his right. It's a shot in for the top corner. It goes high and wide, I believe. What I did like about that action was how quickly he wanted to do it. Normally he would take his time, faff around, and it'll get blocked, and it's very annoying. So I did like the directness in fairness. Again, I felt like on another day he might have had 2 assists. He certainly should have had a pre-assist for that Haaland header. And yeah, just thought he had a great game. More performances like that, and it's a lovely time because whether it's Doku or Grealish starting on that left, that is a really high-quality player, regardless of what the situation is. Thank you so much, Amar, for your super chats. Grealish is not average. Pep doesn't do average. Of course he's not average. He's a very good footballer, of course. And again, yeah, he had a great game. Nice. In fact, that makes you the top. Oh no, well, LB's the top super chatter, actually, to be fair. I feel like it's a bit weird putting another creator as a top super chatter in my widget, though. So I'll speak to him. Maybe I'll do it anyway. Yeah, so that was a lovely time. Yeah, I thought he played well. Was it 70 minutes he got? After, being injured at the start of the season, so that was good. Happy with that. And there we go. Yeah, peace and love, guys. Peace and love. I'll now catch up on some of the chat. Grish brings his COG down and looks like his... Sorry, I don't know what that means. Highest made it. Grealish was great, I agree. More hamhead. Sorry, is that another user? Proven right. I've seen enough football to know what football is capable of. If club secure top play, he goes out. Who is that in reference to? Sorry. What about the chance of Grealish miss? Oh yeah, so I touched on that. And again, yeah, he's not perfect. Again, that's my biggest criticism of Jack. But what about the 2 assists he probably could have got? And what about the contributions to that Haaland header? And what about the contributions to the second goal? And what about the contributions to just controlling the tempo of the game as well? And the really nice weight of the pass. This was a really good game by Jack. 100% ID, yeah. He's not, I think this is a really good point, he's not a winger. He's a term which has been coined, a wing fielder. Someone who is like a Bernardo Silva, where they are really in profile more of a midfielder than a wide player, in which case you need to put them in the right circumstance. And this is what I was talking about earlier with this system that we're utilising. It gets our left winger into more central zones. That seems tailor-made for Jack. Even last season, sadly, we didn't see it a lot, but when Foden started out wide and then went to left central midfield and Gvardiol pushed up to left wing. No, in fact, it did happen once. It was in the Spurs game. I think Jack played really well that game, if memory serves. That's another great way to get the most out of him. Do you remember when Cancelo was still at the club? Grealish was terrible when Cancelo played alongside him because there was no relationship. They both wanted to go centrally. Cancelo didn't want, when he was at left back, didn't want to overlap and go out and create width. He wanted to go into the same areas that Jack did. So, of course, he's got to be put into the right circumstances, but I'd argue that's the same with any player. But yeah, he's absolutely useful. And again, I was really, really happy with his performance. Yeah, just from a West Ham perspective, by the way, kudos. West Ham needs to pattern up. Otherwise, Kudus is going to go to like a Champions League club, to be honest, like Liverpool or Arsenal or whoever. He's very, very good. And I thought Rico did really well against him. There was only I can't remember Kudus really getting the better of Lewis that many times. The only time he got the better of him was when it was like a 3v1 because Doku wasn't strong enough in the challenge, and Rico, you could even argue closed the angle on him to an extent. So I thought, yeah, Kudus is quality, 100%. Yeah, Kudus is quality, but I thought Rico did a really good job, to be honest. I thought he was fantastic. Yeah, so that is Andrew, incredibly generous. Thank you so much, my mate. Incredibly generous. Liverpool fan, by the way, Andrew. I love how we have non-City fans here as well. This Prince, guys. This is so fucking sick. I think Premier League and Champions League will become boring, as Real Madrid and City would dominate the Premier League and Champions League. Let's double down on the boringness, Andrew, and let's get City winning the king Premier League and Champions League, yeah? Let's do that. Hello, Bree. I thought we should have let Nunes go, but stay. When he came on, he was good. Can he still have a useful place in our squad this year? Absolutely. Let's touch on Nunes, shall we? So we touched on Grealish, who again, thought was really good. Nunes. Now, I was able to tune in a little bit for LB's show, and he apologized, or the title of the stream was something. Now, I'm going to make an argument. LB was always right, and I feel like I was right as well. Because we've never said, whenever we've done LBins, to be fair, I don't know what LB said outside of LBins, but whenever we've been on LBins, we've always said that from a central minutes perspective, Nunes isn't going to get enough time here because of the body, not because of quality, but because of the quality ahead of him. So not because of his quality in a vacuum, the quality ahead of him, because we have Kevin, and we have Foden, and we have Lewis, and we have Bob, and we have Kovacic, and we have Bernardo, and we have Gundogan, and we have Rico Lewis. So it's... And you can throw McAtee in there as well. So it's impossible to envisage, for me, outside of mental injuries, a scenario where he gets significant central minutes. But I've always maintained that he could become some sort of auxiliary player, whether that's as a wide player or a right back who becomes a right winger, for example. Today, he came on, and as he did against Bournemouth, and as he did against Luton, I believe, in the FA Cup last season, left winger. He was doing what Grealish did. He started on the left technically, he went into the more central zones. So he was a left winger. And he was really good when he came on, wasn't he? Because I feel like if his starting position is more out wide, maybe he can utilize that running power a little bit more. And if he's able to drift inside a little bit more, then he doesn't have to be a total out and out wide player. So he does still have that natural bit of, central play about him. And I think that becomes a really nice utilization of him. And I've never doubted that he could become a wide player or that he could become a fullback. My doubts and I still have these doubts. I'm very convinced it won't happen. Nunes will not get significant central minutes, but he doesn't need to if he's able to adapt his game. And this has always been my qualifier. If he adapts his game, if he's able to play out wide, if he's able to play at fullback. And today he proved it. Came on, left wing. I thought it was really, really good, even without the assist. I mean, the weight of pass is lovely. The vision, the weight of pass is perfect. And just on that goal, Haaland's run, by the way, he was so offside. He was so offside, and then the intelligence to come back on and time the run to perfection is brilliant. And so the weight of pass is lovely, and just generally, I thought it was really nice. I love the idea of, and on the counter, can you imagine Nunes left wing on the counter attack, if you're leading 1-0 in a game, because he's so good at covering distance quickly in terms of his long, powerful strides. It's really difficult to get the ball off him. He's such a brilliant ball carrier in those areas. This is another reason why maybe out to the wing would be better for him. Because, in general, teams pack the centre against City. Even on the counter-attack, City sometimes struggle to progress centrally. So, and Nunes is more of a big space player. He's not getting big spaces in the centre at City. But he could do out wide. It's all adding up. It's all adding up. And I really, if the future of Nunes is auxiliary winger, left and right, auxiliary fullback, probably right more so than left, then yeah, he's absolutely got a future, and he could become and this isn't a diss, he could become like the Fabian Delph in that perspective, more of and still, playing centrally whenever, he can become this utility player. And that doesn't mean he's going to start all the time, it just means that he's a solid option off the bench, and if we're in this scenario where we have the two right wingers we wanted to use this season are both injured for this game, Bob and Savio, and Grealish came off. He's probably not full fitness anyway. So suddenly we're short on wingers out of nowhere. We've only really got Doku. Now, Núñez, great option, and he can do it. I'm pretty sure for Bournemouth he started on the left. I think Luton it maybe was the right wing. I'm not 100% on that, but he has definitely played on the right before for City last season, even if it was only at for 45 minutes or something. And he was good in both games. He impressed me. If he's got more space to do his stuff, because again, he's not particularly gifted in those pockets, in the small spaces, and you need to have that edge to your game to be a City midfielder, really. Unless you're having all the play ahead of you. It's why Foden, Lewis, Bob are going to be thrive for City under Pep. So, yeah, really happy with that utilisation of Núñez. He can. I totally agree, Brie. He can definitely be a useful member of the squad, with the caveat, if he's given those wide minutes, those fullback minutes. Windman Kuz at City Society. Rico is outstanding. Absolutely, he was brilliant. He's 19 and he's tiny and frail, but he's so good. Hello there. Spain has shown this 1v1 winger is the recipe for success. Watch out other top teams in Europe are all using it in full flow. Yeah, well, we've seen the beauty of Savio and Doku so far. Biggest criticism of Jack is his ridiculous price tag. Yeah, and this is why I don't tend to bring price tag into it, because Ruben Diaz is a better defender than Akanji, but you could argue and it's correct to say that value for money Akanji's better. But if I'm comparing defenders, I know Akanji was better last season, but if I'm comparing defenders, Diaz is the better defender. I don't care if he costs 4 times as much. He just is the better defender. I don't really care about price tag, to be honest. Of course, we overpaid for him, of course, because in respect of his true market value was probably at the time, he was coming off 2 unbelievable seasons with Villa. His true market value was probably more like around 70-ish million, because you got to remember Villa didn't need to sell either. They wanted to keep him. That's probably his true value. And yeah, I think you're right, ID. I think if it was like a low price tag, no one would ever care. There is this weird, in my opinion, a weird microscopic examination of everything Grealish does, and it all, from the detractors, it all comes down to, I expect that from a £100 million player, and that's not really the point. I don't think that's really the point. Just because the player's a bargain doesn't mean you should be like, I don't know. It's more of a fun talking point for getting a player on the cheap rather than it being anything relevant. I don't know. Rico should be starting every game. I agree. If the choice is Rico or Walker right back, I know who I'm picking every single time. Every single time. Hello, IFL Discovery says, seeing the status of Real Madrid, you think we've got a chance for another treble? City will always be the favourites in every single competition they enter, as long as Guardiola stays here, because they are just that good. There's no reason why we can't. It's just tricky, obviously. If Nunes can get 4 to 5 GA, club can recover the cost. Both parties happy if they're planning to bring Water, and he has to make space for him. Unless the situation becomes Walker leaves next season, you don't need to sign a replacement, because can Núñez play there at right back? Again, I haven't seen him play there once for City. I've just got a feeling he can do it. He'd be able to cover the defensive space really quickly. There's a conversation about him doing the Walker role from last season where he pushes up to the wing. He's got a fantastic work rate. He's got a decent cross on him. It's not brilliant. It's a decent cross on him. I like that as a concept. Maybe. Could he be? And then, then your right back depth is Lewis, Núñez, and obviously Akanji can play there as well. Could that be a thing? Hello, Hunter. Will KDB out there? Do you think Foden will play right wing and invert, or do you think De Bruyne will take a step back and be an 8? I know Bernardo started the season really. I would just like to see a straight swap, Bernardo and Foden. I just think that would be really simple, to be honest. Hello, Cold. I feel like with Nunes' caliber of physical profile, technical ability, it's impossible for him to fail. He'll have a place and will contribute. And in another City era, he would be contributing as a central player. No doubt. If Kovacic wasn't here, and if Rico Lewis wasn't here, and, Bob / Foden, etc., then there's no doubt that he would be. But again, my opinion hasn't changed. He will still struggle for central minutes, 100%. 100%. Walker looked rusty, yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm only joking about Walker. I do love him, but I know he wasn't great last year, but I do still love him as a player, of course. From what he's done for this club, he's still best right back in Premier League history, in my opinion. Van Vezra hamstrings, big up B. We'll beat Real Madrid anyway. I hope you're right. And to be fair, Foden will have to wear his shirt. Foden is now not in the situation where it's like, oh, he's a young player, he needs minutes to develop. No, Foden should now just be taken as, or regarded as, like the same like with any other player. You've got to fight for your place, to be honest. And I'm sure he'll win that fight, of course, because he's Phil Foden based on last season. But he's been given the chance. We know what he can do. Now, when he comes back, we just need to see him do that, essentially. And it'll be a lovely time, had by all. Vinny never had Walker on strings, not even once. And yeah, of course, Walker still will have a very specific use case this season. Don't care what people say about Grealish. He's a baller. Players have ups and downs. Normally just needs time. Gets comments back to peak levels and he will cook for us. I hope you're right, Tito. I hope you're right. If today's performance is anything to go off, then I totally agree. Got over 200 people watching, and yet, guys, disgustingly, not even 150 likes, guys. Come on. If you are enjoying my content, whether it's this stream, whether it's any of my videos, if you want me to succeed in this space, it's a very hard space to succeed in, please leave a like on the video because that tells YouTube that you are liking the stream. That recommends this to other viewers. I get more viewers. I get more food. So please leave a like on the video, guys. And it is free. And shout out once again to Andrew and Nick and Amar. And of course, my boy LB. If you saw my Twitter last week, you'll have seen that we met in person. And it was really, really cute. We had a lovely little date. It was really sweet. Martin was there as well. And Sai. Big up. Big up to them. And Sai brought a friend. Don't know who he was, but he was quite nice as well. Should we talk about Doku now, ID? Should we talk about Doku, I feel like? Let's talk about Doku. Is that who wants to talk about next? We haven't really talked about Haaland. It should do. If it doesn't, that's annoying. It really should be doing that. Let me see if that's a thing, I guess. It should be popping up, yeah. I have changed it recently to hopefully make it work when Twitch doesn't be a thing, but maybe I've absolutely bottled it. I don't know. Let's... Oh, look at that. Boom. Right. Listen to Baby Nobbins and like the video, you frauds. Yeah, we'll talk about Doku, then we'll talk about Haaland, shall we? And then whoever else wants to talk about. And then obviously Arsenal. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we're going to be talking about the title race and why. Again, why is... We haven't even talked about the title of this video yet. Why is the best yet to come? Why do I think that? We'll discuss that. Yeah, Doku, Isaac says his decision making is poor. Don't think he'll improve. See, I think he will, personally. I think that this is still a player who can be molded into a elite winger. In fairness, he should have got an assist today. It was his ball to Kevin for the shot which hit the crossbar. That was a very good ball, in fairness. Totally take the point of... Andrew, thank you so much again. I totally take the point of he does need to improve, and I keep banging that drum. Of course, I know player is exempt from criticism. Like, nearly every single player at City needs to do something better, apart from De Bruyne and maybe Haaland, based on today's game anyway. Like, even Phil, like, everyone knows I love Phil, but he needs to improve on his... It's been taken out of context, but he does need to improve on his general big space chance creation. But he's certainly getting better at that. Oh, exciting news for Andrew. I bought my first flat 2 weeks ago. Very excited. Big up to you, Andrew. I know flats are very expensive, as is rent. Just make sure you are looking after yourself before you super chat. As long as you are financially secure yourself, because a flat is a big financial upheaval. So, as I say, just make sure you're looking after yourself, Andrew, before you consider super chatting. But yeah, very well done. It's hard to get on in any housing ladder in this market. Yeah, I really do think that Doku will become that guy. He was off the right today, which, as we've established, isn't his best side for City anyway. I think he did okay. I don't think he was bad. The worst, the thing that I can't forgive, and I forgive a lot. I feel like I'm very patient with a lot of players. What I can't really forgive was that moment where Kudus hit the post. because that all comes from Doku just not being strong enough or not being cute enough. There are two things can happen because like De Bruyne ran into him, Kudus did him, but Doku's still there. Two things have to happen there. One or two things must happen. You either guarantee you win the ball because there's about to be a 3-on-1, or probably the better option is bring him down. Take the yellow if you need to. It may have, if you were cute about it, it may not have even been a yellow, to be honest, because of how deep that counterattack was. But even if it is yellow, just take it. Just take it and then it's done. And it's annoying and it frustrates the fans and it frustrates the players for West Ham. But it prevents what ended up being a brilliant bit of counter-attacking work by Kudus and a brilliant shot. So that was probably the thing I was most upset with from Doku, to be honest. But apart from that, I thought he played well, to be honest. Overall, he got Emerson on the yellow, which was important. I mentioned before how when we needed someone to start winning fouls and slow, in fact, I said, give the ball to Grealish because he's so good at winning fouls. And we gave the ball to Doku and he won 2 back-to-back and he got, and bonuses, he got yellows as well. And from those yellows, the game was killed. It was done. Like from a West Ham perspective, the momentum had shifted, the tempo was controlled, and that all came from Doku winning those fouls. So that is a really important aspect of the game as well. And overall, I thought he played well. I thought he was probably the worst of the starting attackers. But I don't think he was bad by any means. I thought he was all right. I thought he was good. That one moment did frustrate me though, because that mistake nearly cost us a goal. So yeah, that mistake nearly led to a West Ham goals. That was the only thing I was a little bit annoyed with. And Pep was fuming. Doku says, "Ida, yeah." That is something he needs to get better at. It's not a case of defensive work rate because he was there and ready to do it, but he just needed to, as I say, be a bit cuter with it. Who he start on the wing says Cold. I'm loving Doku Savio, to be honest. So I reckon for now just keep going with Doku Savio in the majority of games. I think it depends on the opponent. I probably would go a bit more conservative against a Newcastle away. Probably would start Grealish in that situation, but I'm loving how our wingers are playing right now. I am loving it. When a right-footed winger past a left-footed striker, it has to come from the left side. It was a very weird position. Wait, when a right-footed winger past a left-footed striker, has to come from the left side. It was a weird position for him. Sorry, is this in reference to Doku? As I said, I thought he played good. I'm sorry, Scottish City fan. I don't think I've ever watched a Scottish League game in my life. I'm so sorry. I'm an ignorant boy. Doku gets judged harshly. I agree. No, yeah, I agree because I did the first analysis video of the season was how the title how Doku beat Chelsea's block, and lots of people disagreed with me and they thought that Doku was bad in that game, but I thought he was actually great in that game, to be honest. So there we go. Here's my issue with Dwight. Your mentality, I feel like, though, Dwight. I think I might be wrong here. I feel like you're one of those people who is in like Doku FC. Doku FC doesn't like Grealish FC and vice versa. I am Man City FC. I love both of these players and I want them both to do really well. And I can see the qualities and attributes in both of them and the positives and negatives in both of them. I think, sadly, you're part of the problem in terms of your approach, in my view, because you don't need to add on the Jack Grealish thing. You can just say he's judged too harshly. He needs to improve, and that's like the end of it. I don't think you need to add the little jab to Jack. To be honest, that's my take anyway. You can disagree. Why are you criticizing our team? Well, I think it's important to talk because the game wasn't perfect. The game wasn't perfect, so it's important to talk about it. That's the whole point of these post-mortems. It's an analysis of the game. So, of course, we're going to talk about the negatives and criticize as long as it's fair. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We never go overboard on this channel. We're not like ranting and raving and screaming and making up lies. But I think it's important to look at the negatives of a performance as well, because unless every player performs at like a 10 out of 10, which never happens, there's always room for some improvement. So, you get me. So that is Doku. again, clearly a left-sided player, isn't he? But again, I thought he played well. Bernardo, I touched on his assist. Kevin is Kevin, isn't he? I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about De Bruyne. Again, he's entering his Scholes mid-noughties arc, where he just has all the play in front of him. I'm not going overboard on Grealish, Dwight, by saying he had a great game today. If you think that is going overboard, then that in itself is going overboard, because clearly he had a great game today. Hopefully that is obvious to see. I don't agree Doku was poor. I don't agree. Everything's got to be some sort of competition. Some people enjoy an incredibly gifted team while it's here. No one's above criticism, but don't take it too far. Yeah, exactly. It's important to discuss those sorts of things. Erling Haaland. Shall we chat about him? I feel we touched on the wide players. We touched on the Nunes situation. I want to talk about Haaland, and then I want to talk about the title race ramifications and the Arsenal situation. And again, I keep saying the best is yet to come. Hat trick today. I don't agree. Legend Sweet. I thought it was great. Did Grealish get injured? Looked like he stopped a few minutes before the sub. I don't know, Fuscan, to be fair. But he was injured before the season started, and he's not had many minutes, so maybe it's just also about preserving it as well. Maybe. Doku poor in contrast to the rest of our players. Again, I thought he was the worst attacker, but just because he's the worst attacker, I don't think that means he was bad by any means. Again, I thought he was quite good, to be honest. Again, outside of that isolated instance, which did grind my gears, it did rattle me, as they say. I've done disservice to Kovacic as well, by the way. He, again, just steady, assured, can't think of any mistakes. Rico Lewis should have had a goal, needs to improve his finishing, needs to improve the crossing, but again, really good performance by him. Akanji, there was one really good moment where he just reads and gets ahead of Antonio, and he prevents a goal, so well done. Diaz was unfortunate for the own goal. Even their goal today was like so jammy. But Gavardio was really good overall. Thought it was fantastic. Say Edison, great save at the end. Right. Yeah, Haaland. Hat trick. Of course. We all know he scores goals. This is a thing. It's a thing. We know it's a thing. Against Ipswich, we were so direct to him. Similar thing today. 2 through balls. 2 goals. Finding him with crosses. Brilliant. Love that. We're actually playing towards his strengths. How many goals does Haaland score in the Premier League this season, lads? How many? His record was 36. Let's assume, for argument's sake, he plays a similar amount to, the treble-winning year. So he starts, 30-ish games, and he features in, 33. So let's assume no massive injuries. How many goals does he score in the league? Because I think Fuscan says 40. I think that he actually could break the 40 goal limit. Let me know what you guys reckon, though. What are your predictions? So we can need to improve his crossing and effort in the wide areas. Wide space to cross it. Yeah, there was one moment today where it was the poor cross. And if he wants to be a right back long term, that this won't always be like the system where he's always in central zones. It's just so. I would like him to add that string to his bow, because that just gives us another bite, another dimension. Just gives us another bit of something. You can maybe do the Walker role, for example. I mean, Walker can't cross either, but you get me. Arsenal were robbed by City supporting ref. Okay, boss man, how you doing, mate? 40, 44, 45, 43, 44. Yeah. 40 says highest made it. He's already on 7 after 3 games. Yeah, it's mental. Yeah, I think we're looking at least 40. Well, not at least 40. And I think he could get to 40, definitely. The main reason being we are actually playing to his strengths, which is something we haven't done ever, despite him. A good question, Jack. He scored 2 against West Ham. And they didn't score against Bournemouth. He got an assist. And then did he get a hat-trick? So that would be 5 in 3 games, I think. Did he get a hat-trick in his 3rd game? Maybe. Against Forest or something. 60. Okay, chill. Chill. Ricolos is a gem. Absolutely, he is. Does Rico want to be a traditional right back? He might not want to be Paolo, but I'm just thinking about alternatives. I'm just thinking about utility. And to have that string to his bow added could be wonderful. It could be a lovely time. It's just a good thing to add. Dwight says Holland will score 40 plus goals this season and shatter his own record. A treble of golden boots is in sight. I think you're right. I think you are correct. Because again, the first instinct from Bernardo, you can say it's like, well, of course you're going to play them first time, but it's not necessarily the case. The first instinct is touch pass. Done. Goal. Nunes comes on. First instinct, Haaland making a run. Through ball. Done. Grealish attacking down the left. Wait for Bernardo because I know we can clip it to Haaland's first time. Should have been a goal. So the directive is clearly to actually use him properly. And that, if you are an opposition fan, is surely a terrifying proposition. Surely. Because you were dealing with a striker who broke the Premier League goal scoring record and won the European Golden Boot without, in a season where Jamie Carragher came out and said he may have picked the wrong team because we don't play to his strengths at all. Like he was basically became just a finisher basically, rather than this huge transitional threat and huge running threat. And now we are doing that, but also there's something very nice which I've seen so far this season, and we've all commented on it, I think, at one point. Is that Haaland was never bad at link up or hold up play, despite what some mentalists have tried to say in the past. He was always actually quite good at it, and was one of the best in the Premier League. But so far, he has improved massively in that respect. The small space footwork is very impressive. The dribbling, very impressive. The link up to Lewis today, very impressive. Should have had an assist. The first touches, first time passes, etc. Being an outlet as well. There's one moment I can't believe when he can't believe he didn't get a foul that one time. It's so far been fantastic, to be honest. It's getting better. He's becoming more rounded and more complete and just even better. And he's only 24, so one assumes that he's going to just keep doing that and get even better and even better and even better. It is indeed the Norwegian pronunciation. Yes, both are correct. Both are correct. It's Estrella, it's also Estrella. They both work. Do you think Gundu will start more after the break? I don't know. I don't think he needs to be fair, Hanny. He's more of a short-term player. Look at Mbappe at Madrid. Has striker versus Holland City. Holland needs to be credited as a natural striker. Yeah, Holland's clearly a better striker than Mbappe. Absolutely, he is. He's lovely, isn't he? Rico Lewis is good. He's won the Ballon d'Or, says SK Paint. We would have to win the Champions League for that to happen. Well, hey, it's the thing. We're being stupid here. 30 plus incredible. If he hits that, I'm happy. Oh, Brie, I'm happy no matter what. But this is just the absurdity of it all. It wouldn't surprise me if he got 40 goals in the league. And that is a mental thing to say, isn't it? That is mental. We've had plenty of that, Prime. Don't you worry. Oh, when did you join? We've had plenty of that, my mate. Holland got 3 in his first 3 games in his first season. Oh, 3. Okay, so he's got 7. Is he a little goal shy in big games? Isn't his record against the big 6 like really, really good? I'm going to double check. Haaland record versus. Can I just have that, please? Right. So, he's 12 against RB Leipzig, Christ. He's got, this includes Dortmund as well. So, in 9 games, 7 goals against Bayern. In 7 games, 6 goals against United. Who else have we got? Who else is like a, quote, big team? Let's see what... in 7 games against Liverpool, 3 goals. 5 games against Chelsea, 3 goals and an assist. And a yellow card. 4 games against Spurs, 3 goals and an assist. 3 games against Napoli, 3 goals. 6 games against Arsenal, 2 goals, 2 assists. 2 games against PSG, 2 goals. Even who else? Who else? And there we go. So to be fair, he hasn't scored against Real Madrid. He's not scored against City. What a useless idiot. I think he did get an assist against us, to be fair, in the Champions League. And there we go. Yeah, that's a pretty good record, I'd say. To be honest. That's a pretty good record. So I don't agree that he goes missing in big games or is quiet in big games. His record is exceptional, to be honest, Anthony. His press was earlier. Indeed, I really want Haaland to dunk on Arsenal at the Etihad next month. If it's embarrassing, boss man, don't watch, pet. That is a big club indeed. The lingering question, is Nunes the best player of all time that played today against West Ham while coming from the bench? Quite possibly. Yes, absolutely he was, Paolo. We can give him that award 100%. So yeah, that's Haaland. He's just going to get better. Now, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. Because, guys. Because. We have not even seen, properly, our 2 best players from last season integrated into the team. No Rodri, no Foden yet. So that is a terrifying prospect. We are still waiting for Bob to come back from injury also. Savio as well after the international break. We've gone to West Ham, who again are a very good team with a very scary attacking 4. Very scary attacking 4. And we've gone there without our 2 best players from last season, as I say, without a right winger who we're going to use this season. And the football we are playing is just superb. Surely it's only going to get better. Like, Gundogan hasn't even been properly integrated. The stuff says Ake, Stones. It's a very exciting time. It's a very exciting time indeed. I can only really see the team getting better. I'd be surprised if there was a drop-off. I know it's early days. We've only played 3 games, and don't jump the gun or whatever. But it just looks really, really, really promising, which is obviously great. On to that, Arsenal dropped points today, which is brilliant, and they dropped points in a game where it's not like Aston Villa away. It's like, I can see you drawing that game, but they got the win there, so fair play. No one anticipated them dropping points at home against Brighton, and so early on as well. And they've got to go to Spurs without Declan Rice, and then they've got to go to the Etihad. So, and that will hopefully coincide with all of our players coming back and being fit. Savio should be back by then. Rodri will obviously be back in the team. Hopefully Foden will be over his illness/sickness. We should hopefully have, outside of Bob, a fully fit squad. Whereas for Arsenal, there will be no Moreno, as I understand it, at the Etihad, because I think he's still injured. And they've still got a couple other injuries as well. So yeah, the best is yet to come, to be honest, guys. Or it should be. It should be. Someone asked, have we peaked too early? I don't think so. Well, normally, I know last season was an exception, but normally, City start the season slowly, and we've not really seen that yet. So hopefully we can just keep the momentum going, and especially when these players come back into the fold and come back into the starting lineup, there's a chance that City get even better. As things stand, no team has had an answer to the way we're playing. The only answer has been try to hit us on the counter-attack, but that was always an answer. City have now made it so that our opposition's even deeper than usual. It's even harder for them to counter-attack on us. They're penned back even more. And from an offensive standpoint, they can't even begin to contain our attack yet. So it's very, very exciting. It's all very positive. And it's all very lovely so far. Holland Fisher has more goals in the Premier than Suarez and KDB. That's crazy. As much as Holland's a fantastic scorer, I also believe he's quite underappreciated by rival fans. He's the best striker in the world, so they need to be appreciating him as such, to be honest. Arsenal have Atalanta as well away before they then come to the Etihad. Oh, wow. Regards performance going to big games, he always attracts players 100%. 100%. He got massively criticised for his Real Madrid performance at the Bernabeu, but you can say that in a vacuum, on the ball, what did he really do? But as you rightly say, it's all about, in those situations, if a team are able to try to take him out of the game, you take him out of the game at a massive cost. And that cost is that you are sacrificing other players, you are sacrificing how high your line is, you are creating space on the edge of the box for the likes of De Bruyne and Foden, and as it turned out, Gvardiol, who are, as it turns out, long shot, outside the box specialists. So even in scenarios where it's potentially not ideal, still turn it into something. Fair enough, boss man. Arsenal only beat last season because Roger was suspended and they got a lucky deflection, says the stuff. Yeah, I felt both games should have been a draw. I felt like that was a fair reflection of the game. Arsenal are now level, not even near on Klopp's peak level, says Anthony. If City don't win the title this season, then it will be a pretty disastrous campaign from a City perspective, because we really should be looking to win and win well this year. If we don't, I'd be very obviously disappointed, but I'm just very convinced that we should win it and win it reasonably comfortably, given how good our squad is and how much it's improved since last season. Nobbins, Haaland has more goals than all of the 19... Is that true? That's crazy. Could he retire as the best striker of all time? Kogito Ogo-sum. So, I mean, we've sort of got to review it in the context, because it's not really fair or reasonable to talk about Pele, for example. So, in terms of like the modern era, you're looking at R9, aren't you? That's the GOAT in terms of, like, you know, more modern era. So, can he be better than R9 across his career? Yeah, definitely. In terms of a peak, probably not, because peak R9 is was just like, we're talking about, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi levels here. But in terms of like over the course of his career, potentially, because obviously R9 got a lot of injuries and he wasn't quite the same player after that injury at Inter. But in terms of like an overall career, absolutely, that could 100% be a thing. So left field, what do you think of Sterling to Arsenal? I feel not what they needed and a risk, but it may work. Well, they need wing depth. So I think from a squad perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Chelsea, as I understand it, paying like 2/3 of their of the wages. I think it makes, from an Arsenal perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense. Oh, excuse me. And that's a good point as well. Well, he'll never overtake his legacy, because R9 is R9. But you raise a good point here. R9 played for Brazil and obviously won World Cups with Brazil. So, whereas Haaland's never going to do that, is he? Because Norway are Norway. No offense to Norway, obviously, but they're not Brazil. They're not 2002 Brazil. What are your rough point estimates for the top 4 teams? I have no idea, but I think the City should be looking to get at least 94 points. Really, I think anything less than that would be disappointing. I think, again, based on what I think should happen in terms of the quality of our manager and the players and the imperfections in the squad, which have now been balanced, and now the fact that we are playing to Haaland's strengths. Outside of any major ridiculous injuries anyway, of course. We got 91 points last season with De Bruyne missing half the season. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? R9 is the best striker of all time. He's absolutely unplayable, won 2 World Cups and demolished players like Maldini, Cannavaro, etc. I'm not going to give him the 94 World Cup though, because he barely played. He was like a baby. I'm not gonna give him that World Cup. But yes, I take what you mean, Paolo. I take what you mean. Is Nunes a new winger option for it? I think so, Anthony. Yeah, 100%. Shush. Less of that. De Bruyne is not getting injured this season, lads. It's not happening. We've still nearly got 200 people here. I want to get to 250 likes, please, guys. Get it up here. Get it up here. Let's get to 150. Thank you very much. We will be going live again tonight at 10 o'clock. If you want to have your say on your team's transfer window, we're talking about all the transfer windows, reviewing them. Maybe not all of them. Like, I don't know what I've got to say about Ipswich. There might be some we speed through, but we're going to be talking about, you know, the every team's transfer window and who were the best, who did the best window, who did the worst. Have Arsenal done enough to win the title, etc., etc. Oversatch will help convince Haaland to extend. He will never have it this good. 100% Taylor, 100%. Especially with Mbappe going to Real Madrid. Where else does he go? We've touched on this a lot. There's not many clubs who could accommodate Haaland in terms of matching his wage demands and matching his ambition. So, in respect of ambition, take out anywhere who isn't playing in the Champions League in the first instance. Nowhere in England, obviously, apart from City. No one in Italy is able to. You've also got to consider, like, unless he goes on a free, a transfer fee of like hundreds of millions of pounds, like at least 200 at this moment in time, 200 million quid or something insane. Italy's out of the question because they cannot afford to pay those wages. Never mind with that transfer fee as well. PSG could work in respect of they could get away with paying the wages and they could pay the transfer fee. So PSG is one option. Germany, the only option is going to be Bayern, isn't it? I don't know what his thoughts are. I know that, you know, lots of Dortmund players have gone to Bayern in the past, but I mean, Haaland loves a goal against Bayern. I don't know. I don't know if he'd want to go there. He feels like someone who gets very attached to the clubs he plays for. I don't know whether he'd go to a rival Dortmund. Maybe that's not correct. I don't know. But either way, are Bayern going to be paying that much of a transfer fee? Probably not. We can still pop it on there, though. Not Real Madrid, because they've got Mbappe, obviously. And then Barcelona can't even struggled to register Dani Olmo. So in what world are they going to be able to get the transfer fee for Haaland and then pay his ridiculous wages? So that's two clubs in the world who can probably actually... Is it two? Who did I say? I said Bayern and PSG, did I? I can't see anywhere else. Again, Italy's out of the question. England's out of the question. There's one option in Germany. There's one option in France. And as things stand, there's no option in Spain. Because you're not going to have Vinicius and Mbappe and Haaland all on the same team, obviously. And Barcelona, again, had to get rid of... They had to get rid of Gundogan so they could register Dani Olmo. Where they're going to get 200 million quid from and his ridiculous wages, because his wages will grow up. Obviously, if he leaves City, do you think he's going to pay? Do you think he's going to demand less wages? No, he's going to demand far more. So you get me. Barca will 100% financially recover by the time his contract expires. What's that based on, though, Mars? What's that based on? Why will they definitely? They've been in financial disarray for like 5-6 years, I feel like. Where's the guarantee that they financially recover? It might be another 4 or 5 years. Or maybe even more time. You know? Maybe they'll have their own, generational striker who comes from fucking the academy at that point. Not the World Europe. No, but Adrian, I also said match his ambition. I'm of the view that Haaland's ambition is to play in an elite Champions League side. I don't think his ambition is to just play for money. He's also concerned with the project. That's why he picked City over Real Madrid. They were both offering him the same money. It was the same circumstance there, but he just favoured City's project, and he was the correct thing. That's 37. Very nice, Bossman. As long as you're playing nicely, Bossman, that's fine. Otherwise, a moderator will time you out. So just make sure that you're playing nicely. Oh, yeah. You got to get timed out for that comment, I'm afraid, because I know that's not in jest. Jack, if you could do the honours and time him out, thank you very much. According to Brazilian sources close to Vinny, he's considering a move to Saudi next season. That would open a spot for him. Oh, there's no way Vinicius is going to go to Saudi. No shot. No shot. We are the best run club. So certainly at that elites level, yes. It's like Pep. Who is going to give you what you get here? No one. No one's going to back you the way we do, both from a financial perspective and also just from like a sort of like more wholesome emotional perspective as well. So that's the thing. The financial issues are due to poor players on humongous contracts. The worst of those will expire by 2. You say that, but Barca had the opportunity when Messi left to rectify their financial issues by relying on the youth, taking a back step from the league title for a couple years, and then resetting. But what did they do? They don't learn their lesson because they're greedy and they spend and spend and spend and spend. It wouldn't surprise me if they've just put themselves into another hole. That's also a hypothetical. So that's playing the what if game. All we can do is base it off what we know now. And what we know now is that realistically there's 2 clubs who might be able to do it. And in fact, Bayern now, no, because Harry Kane's there. So that's obviously not going to be a thing. So it's actually literally just PSG. You get me? Good work, DR. You can't say the Nobbins vote's Conservative if it's not in jest. We're not going to be having these allegations. No shot. I don't vote fucking Labour every single general election for every single one of my life to be associated with Tories. We have less of that shit, okay? No, you see, you need to have more stream early in the day for us in East Asia. We'll have to interact with you. Oh, I do often do touchline talks in the mornings, Adrian, so don't you worry about that. We can't also forget how City look after players and that Haaland has a love for us. Exactly, yeah. And also, just like from a physical perspective as well, like Haaland was viewed as this injury-prone player at Dortmund. He never was really. He had one big bad injury, realistically. But his fitness has been brilliant. So again, because we physically look after them as well. Absolutely. Superstar signing strategy always fails, says Anthony. It will be interesting to watch Real Madrid this season. They got a lot of supporters last season, and they won the league. And obviously, fair enough, they were best team in La Liga. Barca are a bit of a mess, in fairness, but some people do act like Real Madrid are this all-encompassing team who are just like inevitable, and they are like the best team in the history of the universe. I'm talking about like the current players at the club, and I just don't know if I buy it, to be honest. We were better than them last year. We lost a penalty shootout. Yeah, that's fine, but we're still better than them over both legs. IMO. Apologies, IMO. Gundogan's statement of when he left, he didn't realise what he had. It was very telling. Great point. And something like, because I've seen a lot of Barca fans like quoting Gundogan's departure, and they're basically pointing out the fact that notice how no one at Barca, apart from like Ter Stegen, sent Gundogan or did like a social media goodbye post. Their conclusion being that Gundogan was a problem in the dressing room or no one liked him. Now, as I understand it, the main reason why other players may not have liked him, or why the ownership may not have liked him, was because of some comments that he made, where he literally just held his team to high standards and said, "This isn't good enough. We're Barcelona. Why are we getting knocked out of the Champions League like this?" And when they got battered by Real Madrid as well, he was like, "I didn't come here to get battered like this." So because he's a treble-winning captain, and because funnily enough he has high standards, standards that one would hope Barcelona fans would want their players to have, because he's surrounded by losers who don't want to be challenged. Mentality issue, absolutely, Jack. Because he's surrounded by losers, children, babies who apparently don't want to be pushed and challenged. They want to be, mollycoddled and like babied to the nth degree. We apparently need to get rid of him because he's apparently causing dressing room issues. Yeah, or maybe you guys just need to sort yourselves out and get the correct mentality back in gear. Yeah? Yeah? You're not going to have a better mentality than fucking Ilkay Gundogan, a treble-winning captain. Like, what we doing here? It's Ilkay Gundogan, and he's German. Like, come on, what we doing? Hello, Rob. Surely he must have spoken to Alvarez. If he was unhappy thinking about leaving, Alvarez would have stayed. Clearly, Alvarez thought in the future because of Haaland. Yeah. Again, wish Alvarez all the luck in the world. He was never going to succeed as a starting striker here, though. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Haaland exists, and he's the best striker in the world by a margin, I think. Ancelotti's never defended the league title life. That can't be true. Is that true? Really? Are you sure? He's never That can't be true. I'm not... Really? Can someone confirm that? He's never defended a league title? That has to be cap. Hello? Return of the Jack. Yes, CJ. Elite standard, absolutely. Barca smash today. Flick or still Gundo, he wouldn't fit. Yeah, and that's mad. Because clearly Gundo would fit. From like a playing perspective, it's Gundogan. He's one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the world. Stupid. Hey, their loss is our gain. In the same way that our loss was their gain when we let him go, they somehow ballsed it up, and we now are able, because their decision-making process was so terrible, they have now allowed us to rectify maybe the biggest transfer mistake under Guardiola, letting Gundogan go in a free. I actually think that might be the biggest transfer mistake under Pep at City. I can't think of another one. What else? I actually think that might be it. In terms of like what was actually within our, because you can't say, not signing Bellingham, not signing Rice, because that wasn't really in our hands, truly. They said no to us ultimately. This was in our hands. Like, we could have made that work. Is that the biggest mistake? Maybe it is. I think it is. Gundogan's high stands and called it out. Barca got rid of him. Xavi had high stands and called it out, got sacked too. Yeah, exactly, I do. Yes, Google it up. He's never won back-to-back league titles. If this is true, Adrian, I mean, first of all, thank you for your genuinely really interesting comment, because I know that I have commented on before that Ancelotti's only won, like, is it 7 league titles in his very long career, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, considering the clubs he's managed and how long he's been managing for. It's not that impressive, to be honest. It's why when we were talking about, life after Pep, I was like, no, keep Carlo away. And I do not want him at City. Let's double check. Manager, yes. How are you winning? I will never get over this. How are you winning 1 Serie A? How are you winning more Champions Leagues than league titles? With that AC Milan team, with fucking Kaká and Seedorf and Maldini and Nesta and Stam and Cafu and Pirlo and Shevchenko. Just like, what? So obviously he never defended his title in Serie A because he only won 1. He won 1 Premier League with Chelsea. 1 league with PSG. I don't think he was there for that long, in fairness. Yeah, he's won 2 La Liga titles, 21-22, then 23-24. You are absolutely correct, Adrian. 1 Bundesliga with Bayern. That's fucking insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god, it's worse than I thought. I gave him credit for 7. He's only won 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's won... How many has he won more Champions Leagues? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's won 5 Champions... He's nearly won more Champions Leagues. That's really weird. Obviously, the Champions League record is really impressive. We all know why it's impressive, but I'm sorry. 6 league titles in a managerial career, which, if we're talking about the elite clubs, started in 1999. That's when he started managing Juve. Was a Juve side which had Del Piero and Zidane, by the way. And then AC Milan for 8 years, 1 league title. Chelsea, to be fair, one title there. And PSG short stint again, in fairness. I don't think that's good enough. I've always had my issues with Carlo, to be honest, in that respect. Not buying Rice, but that wasn't in our hands, was it? Because that was to do with Rice. Do you think it was reasonable for us to pay 100 mil for Rice? No way, we already did that once with Grealish. Let Arsenal have him. I was up for that, though, to be fair, ID, because can you imagine, especially because that was the summer where we let Gundogan go. Can you imagine an out of possession back 5 of, including, let's say Gvardiol, Diaz, Stones or Akanji, and then Rodri and Rice ahead of them? Like, from a defensive security standpoint, that is ridiculously naughty. Like, that is genuinely like, you shall not pass. You know those memes where it's like, try to get past this play? That is actually where it's actually justified. I reckon that would have a chance at breaking like Chelsea's record in respect of like conceding goals. Crazy. Funny story that you've decided they bottled the town the final day. Sven, Joran Eriksson, yes, with Lazio, big up. Big up to Sven. R.I.P. to Sven. Didn't like Sven as England manager. Massive issues with Sven. I think he's a massive reason as to why that golden generation didn't do well. But 1 year at City, it was really fun. Really fun football after some dark days under Stuart Pearce. Got us into Europe. Beat double winning Man United twice that season, by the way, home and away. Some good memories as City fans for Sven. So yeah, shout out to Sven, who sadly passed away recently. Rice women reason about that price. Yeah, I think I do have my issues with Rice. I think Arteta's using him wrong, but I think he would have worked one. I think he would have done brilliantly for City. I think he would have done really well. Yes, absolutely. I feel like the last thing I want to do is touch, because I have been live for like an hour and 15, so we'll be live for like another 10-ish minutes. And let's touch on Arsenal, shall we? Hello, is that a Bolton badge? Shout out, my uncle's a Bolton fan. I can see a 100-point season for you lot. I can't name one team that'll take points off you. Could be a special season for the Blues. I hope you're all right, Chris. Big up the Wanderers. And I didn't want you to get relegated in 2012. I was gunning for you. Man, fuck Stoke. They relegated you, didn't they? The bastards. I was gunning for you, Chris. Yeah, Arsenal have obviously dropped points. Does anyone here think that Arsenal's and we'll talk about this later. Does anyone here think that Arsenal have done enough transfer business this season? We'll talk about this in more detail later. 10 p.m. show tonight. Be there or don't be there. I don't, personally. I think Arsenal have gotten better in terms of the squad. They have gotten better. But City have gotten better. And I actually think the City have... So if we're saying that, before the season started, the gap was like that. So City here, Arsenal there, for example. I think that, Arsenal have gotten to like maybe there, but City have just like widened the gap. I really can't, outside of some mental injuries, or maybe because obviously the hearing's coming up this month, maybe there'll be like a massive points deduction. Outside of something mentally external like that, or like a big injury, or like a huge suspension or something, like Rodri punches the ref and gets suspended for 10 games, some bullshit like that. I just can't realistically see a world where City don't get more points than last year. And we got 91 points last year in a season where we weren't particularly great that year. I know we won the title. We were still the best team in the league, of course. But for City standards, it wasn't great. There were so many underperformances. There were so many squad issues. There were so many systemic issues. But for the individual brilliance of, Phil Foden, Rodri, etc., we don't win that title. The biggest issue, and Jack's touching it here, where is it? Yeah. The biggest issue for them is that we were, despite us underperforming, I can't see, like, for example, isolated player, Haaland, based on the season, he's not going to have another season like last year where he struggled to finish. He's still got 27 league goals, by the way, but he underperformed. This has been touched on. Does anyone think he's going to do that 2 years in a row? I certainly don't. Does anyone think Walker's going to be our 4th most played player this season? I certainly don't. Does anyone think we're going to be playing a striker in midfield this season? I certainly don't. We now have a right-sided presence with Savio and Bob once he comes back from his injury. We have a Gundogan. We have literally the best short-term Gundogan replacement ever in Gundogan. Long-term still issue, that's next summer. The attack has gotten better. The midfield has gotten better. The defence has gotten better by virtue of Lewis coming in for Walker. We're going to have our best player available, for not missing him for half the season. I I can't look past City. And maybe Arsenal will get 90 points or early 90s, and that'll be obviously incredibly impressive. I just can't see them doing better than City, to be honest. Totally willing to be proven incorrect, of course, but it's hard to, if you had to make a prediction, it's really hard to look past City. And then you consider the fact of how we've started the year. We were saying all this before a ball was kicked. You know, or rather, you know, once Gundogan was signed. This is what we were saying. I can't look past City, and now we are seeing the fruits. It's bearing fruit. The fruit is being born, and we are eating it as it is being birthed. Yes, all the juicy pears and all the quince, etc. I learned what quince was recently. Shout out certain stag do. You love to see it. Art says no chance for Arsenal. Don't know why they're scared to sign a legit 9. I believe Rice was all set for Arsenal, and the City links were just a ploy. First. Baffles me they don't sign a striker. It's on a proper 9. Certainly need another elite forward, IMO. That's a wide player or a striker. You're giving the Prem more time to get used to Arsenal. Good point, the stuff. Good, very good point. The thing with Arsenal is they always try to walk it in. No, IT crowds. What I've noticed so far is that they've got the opposite issue of what we had last year. Last season we had no right sides, and we were forced to go down our lefts too often. Arsenal got the opposite so far. They have no left sides, and they're forcing to go down the right. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because obviously Saka, Ødegaard, Ben White, fantastic players. But as we found last season, you can't be so one-dimensional in your attack. You need to be good centrally and on the left and on the right. And so far, Arsenal have only really impressed me down the right, because their best players are down the right. So maybe Sterling will be that guy on the left. Maybe he will. Even centrally. Declan Rice is not an 8, man. I don't care what anyone says. He's not an 8. I'm not having it. He's not good. He's not good at that shit, man. He's not good enough on the ball to do that. And I like Declan Rice a lot. And I appreciate that if he's higher up the pitch, it makes him better from a counter-pressing perspective. But this guy is not good enough in respect of like building up play and linking up play in those advanced areas. I'm just not having it. I don't think he can do it. He's trying to do what Rodri did last season, and Rodri is Rodri, and Rice is nowhere near Rodri. So and that's not a go having a go at Rice, by the way. Rice, wonderful player. I don't think it's been used properly. I don't get it. If anyone wants to disagree with me, and correct me, please. I'm totally willing to be corrected on that. I'm totally willing to listen to the logic. It just seems to me, it seems so obvious that the play is to put Rice at 6, and I guess maybe is that why Moreno was brought in to play the 8. But in the meantime, can you not just play Partey higher up instead? Just have Rice there, have Rice and Timber in your pivot, and Partey slightly higher up, so he's less of a liability, because he's bad defensively nowadays, it seems. I don't get it. I don't get Arsenal. If they win the league, then I'll obviously shut up, but I just don't get it. Yeah, I agree, Cold. I agree. And LB asked me this on LBins. I still think that City's 18-19 squad was more balanced and better overall, but this is close. This is very close. It's just hard to look past Sterling, Mahrez, Sane, Aguero, Jesus, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Fernandinho, Delph, Laporte, Company, Otamendi, Stones, Walker when he was very good, Mendy when he wasn't shit, Edison. It's hard to look past that squad. It's mental. Baby Foden as well. Baby Foden coming through. City more scary than a treble season. I hope you're right, Chris. I think Arsenal, a good team, will score around 90 points, so it's about us. I think I agree, Bree. Pretty excited to see this team add Watchalong past it. Oh, Bailey. The switches to Savio. Oh. Oh. Hello, Monso. Thank you for always supporting the channel. I thought it was all right today, but we all know that he seems to play better on the left for City. I totally agree, Cold. Hello, Bailey. What do you make on the midfield depth? Arsenal haven't not convinced on it, neither with the quality they have. There's no like truly elite midfielder at Arsenal. Ødegaard is there. Well, maybe say Rice. I'm a very high standard here. I'm talking about Kevin De Bruyne levels. I'm talking about Rodri levels. There's no truly elite midfielder there. There are midfielders there who have elite traits, like Declan Rice, for example. It is an elite defensive trait, has elite defensive traits. But is that enough? So what is their midfield? Because they got rid of Vieira, didn't they? So it's Erdegaard, Moreno. I don't know enough about him, but I know you shouldn't judge transfer fees, but he's clearly not this ceiling grazing machine, a monster. Otherwise, again, I don't want to use transfer fees, but a player of that ilk goes for more than 30 million or however much they paid for him. So he seems to be more of like a facilitator than like someone who's actually going to, in his own right, raise the ceiling of the team. Who else have they got? A Partey, who's he's done. He's done. Jorginho, is he? I know he had a good season last year, but again, he was old then. He's older now. So slow as well. So bad in transition sometimes. And then they've got Nwaneri, who is apparently very good, but you can't be relying on a child, no matter how good he is. Isn't he like 18? He's very young, so you can't really be relying on him. So I think I'm with you, Bailey. I'm not convinced. It's significantly worse than City's. Significantly worse. Let's be real. I know, yeah, I do. He'll come back stronger. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Like Ben last year, absolutely. I know I was just arguing against it, but through 3 matches, Arsenal should have 5 points. Yeah, you could argue about the Villa game if you wanted. What's been wrong with Declan? I will say this about Rice. He seems like a Jack Grealish level guy, real stand-up person. Oh, in terms of a personality, look. Oh yeah, and to be fair, we never talk about personality of these people because, you know, I can only assume they're love. I know Jack Grealish is a wonderful person. Having spoken to people who have met him and asked for his autograph, I know he's a beautiful human being. But yeah, I'm assuming all these people are very lovely. Hello, FD Photon. Lovely to see you here. Rice's best asset is ball winning. I agree. Don't get how people say he's not. Totally agree. Totally agree. I just don't get. I don't get him playing as Nate. I know that it worked last year, but in my opinion, that was because they didn't replace Xhaka, so Arteta compromised and found a way to make it work. In the same way that Pep last season, they didn't replace Gundogan, and he found a way to make it work. I'd be amazed if you had like a private chat with Arteta. I'd be staggered if he said, "Yep, I see that as his position, definitely." And we're gonna play Moreno deeper or whatever. I just don't think he's got enough assets to be a good 8, like long term. Again, I know it worked in a certain system in a certain way, but there comes a point where his limitations are too easily exposed, and he's nowhere near good enough in respect of a build up and on ball, and in those higher areas on ball, off ball, wonderful, obviously, but yeah, should be deeper. And also, just go deeper for the sake of England, for God's sake, so he can get better as a 6 as well. Get better at deeper build up. That's great. How's Odegaard finished a higher rating than Foden? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, I don't know the ratings, but those ratings have always been weird, though. Isn't Manuel like a 77 or something insane? I like Odegaard a lot, and it is a high standard I'm talking about. But again, I'm talking about like De Bruyne, because when you're up against City, you need to compare the players. I'm talking about the level of a De Bruyne, a Rodri, and in my opinion, Arsenal's midfield is a level below that. So he's even younger than I thought. So he's obviously not going to be the main guy, is he? He can't be. Enjoyed how we loaded up on the right with Rico and Doku as a decoy. Pull West Ham over. Yeah, we love to take the midfield out of the midfield, the opposition midfield out of the midfield, and this is you just reminded me, Bailey. Very good points here. Just touching on back to the Brighton game. This is because I mentioned before they're too reliant on their right. They're not. I don't know what the stats are on this, and maybe someone can find out for me. City love a switch. We absolutely adore to have the ball on the left and punt it one ball over to the right and have one winger over there, and now we're 1v1. Whether that's Savio, Doku, whoever. Overload to isolate. It's a very basic concept. I feel like Arsenal don't really do that as much or nearly enough. It just feels like there should be, especially if you're focusing so much general play on the right, there should be these opportunities to do switches out to your left, and then you get Martinelli or whoever isolated 1v1. Just doesn't seem to happen. And I don't really know what's going on there. I just feel like that's something that Arsenal need to do. Need to add more of that to their game. I'd love to see the data on that. I'm talking about a very specific switch, to be fair. Hopefully you guys know the one I mean. It's sort of like Liverpool love doing it as well. It will normally start with like Van Dijk or whatever on the left, and he'll switch it over to Salah, who's all on his own. I feel like Arsenal don't do that enough. That's what my eyes are telling me. I don't know what the data says, but that's what my eyes are telling me. Yeah, big on Nunes. Not particularly good at builder. And that's why he needs a partner. He needs like Timber to help him out. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone can be Rodri. But I'd still rather he be there. Hey, Dragon of the West. Yes, I remember you, mate. Wonderful. Yeah, it's crazy. Will we be seeing Nunes on the wing? I hope so. I hope so, Damien. They have no player that can make the switch efficiently. But they've got ball playing centre halves, and they've got they've got Ødegaard. I just feel like they just need to utilize that more. I don't know, man. Rico 1v1 defensibility is one of the best in the squad. He was very good, wasn't he? Right, lads. Thank you so much for joining me for so long. I'm going to be live again in 15 minutes. We've been live since basically non-stop since 5 o'clock. We'd love to see that. We are going to. I wanted to do this last night, but I had to have a date night with Mrs. Nobbins. I wanted to as well, because I'm obviously not seeing her tonight, and we haven't done one in a while. So we had a lovely date night last night. I would normally do it on transfer deadline day, but we didn't. So go take a breather, 15 minutes, come back. It's not just going to be me. I'm going to be having people on to chat about their club. So, DR, West Ham fan, Toby, Arsenal fan, hopefully. Liam Byrne, hopefully he comes on to talk about Liverpool. And we can just, really assess the squads. Yeah? The squads. And see who's done enough business, who doesn't. Obviously, we'll talk about City's window. Have we done enough? Arsenal's, Liverpool's. Who's going to get relegated? Who won the transfer window and all that bullshit. Thank you so much for joining me, as always. Shout out to Andrew Wright. It's LB. What a boy. Amar. Nick Fadley. And Andrew Wright. Big up to all of my super chatters for supporting me. If you would like to support, you can become a member. It also activates my printer, which is in the shape of Haaland's face, and you get a random footballer every time you become a member. So if you are able to, it does cost money, I'm afraid. It's £3 a month. You can click the link in the pinned comments, the link in the pinned comment, or you can click the big join button. If you can't afford it or don't want to do it, don't worry at all. If you can, it would mean the world, and it does mean you would be directly supporting me and allow me to continue doing what I am doing. And shout out to William as well for becoming a member earlier, joining the Ultras Club. As I said, I'll be back later, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you for the deadline day review assessment thing in 15 minutes, 10 o'clock. Goodbye, guys.